A 17-year-old high school senior just beat the reigning Olympic and world champion in the 800 meters. Cooper Lutkenhaus ran 1 minute 42.08 seconds in Oslo and edged the most dominant middle-distance runner alive by 1/100th of a second. He is still in high school in Texas. He still has classes to finish. And right now, the entire track world is standing up because a kid who is not old enough to drink is destroying grown Olympic champions. The story of how he got to that line in Oslo is even harder to believe than the win. Go back to Justin, Texas, a small town northeast of Dallas, in a house where everything was a competition. Cooper Lutkenhaus grew up chasing 2 older brothers, playing 5 sports in middle school, studying Dallas Cowboys game film for fun. His dad ran in college and runs the school district's athletics. His mom is a high school principal. Family stories describe church league basketball games against his older brothers that turned into wars because nobody in that house could stand to lose, not even to family. That is the environment that built him, a kid who learned to compete against people bigger and older than him long before he found a track. The kid who just beat the Olympic champion goes to a school where his own family runs the building, and from the start, the only thing Cooper wanted was to prove he belonged somewhere he was not supposed to be yet. He started running track in middle school and won everything, but never thought much of it. In 8th grade, he ran the 800 meters in 1:53 and 1:54, times most adult recreational runners chase for years, and he was doing it at 14. He won national junior meets. He won the Brooks PR Invitational and Nike Outdoor Nationals. He took Texas state titles in the biggest classifications the state has, winning at 5A as a freshman and 6A as a sophomore. And he did it undefeated against the best high school runners in the country. The track world noticed a little, the way it always does with a fast kid, then waited to see if it would hold up against real competition. Because the gap between a Texas high school meet and a Diamond League final is enormous, and winning state titles answers nothing about whether you can beat Olympians. Then his coach, Chris Capo, built the structure that turned a great high schooler into a professional, drilling one weapon over and over, the kick. Cooper has a natural trigger at 200 meters to go, a gear he has hit since middle school, and Capo built it into instinct session after session. And that instinct changed everything on a track in Eugene, Oregon. At the U.S. Championships in August 2025, at 16 years old, Cooper lined up in the 800 final against professionals and former champions. With 200 meters left, he was sitting in 7th. Then the kick fired. He went from 7th to 2nd in the final stretch and ran 1:42.27, the fastest 800 meters anyone under 18 had ever run, finishing behind only Donovan Brazier. He ran down established professionals like Josh Hoey and Bryce Hoppel in the process. The performance coach, Steve Magnus, called it one of the most impressive athletic feats he had seen. A 16-year-old closing on a field of grown men like they were standing still. Cooper became the youngest American ever to make a world championship team. A 16-year-old who would miss school to fly to Tokyo. But Cooper wasn't done. Not even close. Tokyo did not go to plan. At the 2025 World Championships, he went out in the heats. The 800 at that level is tactical and physical in ways a high school meet cannot prepare you for, and the best runners in the world boxed him in and controlled the race. He went home. It was not a disaster. He was 16 and he was there, but it was a clear message. Raw talent and a finishing kick are not enough on the world stage. The question was whether a kid who had never really lost could turn that into fuel. If that sounds like a setback, keep watching, because what came next was a different level. Drop it in the comments first. At 16, would you fly across the world to race grown professionals, or stay home with your friends? Cooper chose the race every time. I want to know what you would have done. 2026 began with a statement. In March, in Torun, Poland, while most of his classmates were on spring break, Cooper won the 800 meters at the World Indoor Championships in 1:44.24, becoming the youngest individual world champion in the history of track and field. At any event, going back to the beginning of the sport, let that land? Not the youngest American champion, not the youngest in the 800, the youngest individual world champion the sport has ever crowned in any discipline, ever. A high school junior who had to coordinate the trip around his class schedule. Then came his Diamond League debut in Stockholm, a win in 1:42.70, the youngest Diamond League winner ever since the series began in 2010. He beat Marco Arap, a former world champion, in that race. 5 professional finals into his career, 5 wins. Then, Emmanuel Wanyonyi decided to show up. Wanyonyi is 21, Kenyan, the Olympic champion from Paris, and the world champion from Tokyo, the most dominant 800-meter runner alive. He is a new father, racing with even more on the line. He skipped Stockholm specifically to be fresh for Oslo, and before the race, he said plainly that Cooper was the future of the event, but that he was still there to hold his ground. That was not a dismissal. That was the reigning king admitting the threat out loud. The 10th of June, 2026. The Oslo Bislett Games, the most famous middle-distance track in the world, a track that has hosted 70 world records. The race goes out fast. Wanyonyi takes the lead at the bell, dictating the pace with his experience and power. Cooper tracks him and waits. 200 meters to go. The trigger fires. Cooper takes the lead and opens a gap into the straight. Wanyonyi is not done. He closes hard, meter by meter, all the way to the line. They hit the tape together in a photo finish. The clock reads 1:42, 8 for Lutkenhaus, 1:42, 9 for Wanyonyi. 1/100th of a second, the smallest margin in the sport, and the 17-year-old from Texas beat the Olympic champion. Cooper crossed the line so unsure of the result that he threw himself into a dive, landing on the track convinced he had lost. He had not. He had just done what nobody his age has ever done at this level. 6 professional finals, 6 wins. World indoor champion, youngest Diamond League winner in history. World leader for 2026, and now the 3rd fastest American of all time, behind only Bryce Hoppel and Josh Hoey. The world record in the 800 meters is 1:40.91, set by David Rudisha at the London Olympics in 2012. It has stood for 14 years, and the greatest runners of the last decade have accepted it as untouchable. Cooper Lutkenhaus just ran 1:42.8 at 17, and he is nowhere near his ceiling. As of today, he is unbeaten as a professional, and the wave is still building. This story is not over. Not even close. Los Angeles 2028 is 2 years away. Cooper will be 19, racing the Olympic 800 final on home soil. So, tell me in the comments. Los Angeles 2028. Cooper Lutkenhaus in the Olympic final in front of his own country. Does he win gold? And does he chase down a world record that has stood since 2012? Drop it below. Every comment gets read.